I've got, my wife just told me I've got a week to get 12 rosary pouches done. Now, there's a little backstory there. My wife works at a Catholic school, and every year the fourth grade class graduates and goes on to middle school. And when they graduate, she gives each of them a rosary in a nice rosary pouch that I've been making for a couple of years now. I picked this up, and this is just a steel rule die, and I got it on Amazon. It did have the pieces in here to cut all the stitch holes in it. I took those out because I didn't like them. I just punched my own in it. But I could get rid of some leather that I don't like using because it's just goofy stuff. But it's good, sturdy. I whip a snap into these things, ship them out the door. It's a total donation thing. That's why I'm just using leather that I just got laying around here. I've had it laying around here for a long time. It's this stuff. I don't know what this backing is, but it makes it really hard to cut. This cuts it pretty easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you on the camera up above and show you how I use it, and I'm going to get a dozen of these cut out so that I can, well, I don't know if I'll get a dozen out of this. I might. And then we'll get them ready to go. So let me get you up there. We'll show you what I'm doing. So like I said, this just came from Amazon. It's nothing special. But you can get these, and I don't know, this one seems to work. It's the steel rule is set into some what looks like a nice clean Baltic birch type of plywood, but I just take them and I set it down. I could put this in my press and use the press to do it. This is just faster. For other dies I use my press, but I don't even have a lot of dies. This one, it's a cheap die, and I just want to make these pouches. So just kind of get it in here. I've got a flaw right here, so I want to try to get where I'm going close to the edge. It's some kind of an upholstery leather, I think. I don't know what it is. Don't like it though. And I want to be able to, I've got a flaw right here. So my hope is that I can get two of them out of here before the flaw. So you just kind of hold it in place. This hammer I picked up at Walmart years ago, and I actually used it for tooling for a while, and it worked pretty good, but it's just a plastic tent stake hammer. And this has made a lot of pouches so far, so it's starting to get a little dull. So you can't sharpen it, which is kind of a drag, but falls into that it is what it is category. Perfect. So it punches the hole out for the snap. Ugh. Punches the hole out for the snap. I just have to fold it over like so and stitch it up. That's all there is to it. Put the snap in and off we go. I'll kind of show you all the way along the way. I'm going to get a bunch of these cut out. That's what I got left. Not much. I don't feel bad about throwing this away because it is so difficult to work with. As for this, I could go around and probably touch up the edges a little bit. The plastic hammer really doesn't do any damage to the blades. I mean, they're still pretty sharp. But if I wanted to, I could probably go around and touch them up. Steel rule dies. You can buy these on Amazon. I don't remember what I paid for it. It was like 25 bucks or something. It was pretty stinking cheap. I did pull out the pieces that there were some in here that cut the stitch holes for you. I don't like that. I want to put my own in it. So that's what I do. But it didn't take much. Hammered them all out. Now I have a stack. How many do I have? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 of them. So I'll get them all made up. I'll have a couple of spares if she needs them for something. The die will punch out that hole. It's really hard to get the leather out of the piece in the die that punches that hole. But it can be done. I will now just kind of fold it where it needs to be folded. It's kind of hard to glue this. This backing just kind of soaks up glue, but I'm going to glue it anyway. I just take my black pen, can line everything up. Make a mark as to where to stop my glue. Oh! I grab my glue. And I'll just glue from this mark all the way down. Not in the corner piece there. Grab my hammer, press down on the middle of this. I'm going to go across the bottom. Just because it makes it a little nicer. This hole really isn't big enough for what I need, but at least I know where it's got to go. So I'm going to glue up a couple more of these, and then yeah, we'll get a snap installed. I think I just use a spring snap on these. I'll show you those when we get to it. I got a bunch of thread cut already, and I'm just going to start punching my holes here. As with any project, I want a binding stitch. I'm just eyeballing my gap, about 1/8 of an inch in. This is really hard to make a line on that's going to show up. So I'm just holding it 1/8 in. I'm using a 6-prong by 4mm spacing chisel. rulers all over the place. So the distance point to point is 4 millimeters. The actual size of the tine itself, I have to change my glasses here. On this set of chisels, is a little over a millimeter, almost a millimeter and a half. And that's the way I like them. I have other chisels that are still the 4 millimeter spacing, but they're 2 millimeters. And that's just a little bigger than I like. I'm just going to do a couple of these, then I'm going to go ahead and stitch them up. I'm ready to start stitching these up. This is a braided thread. The thing that I don't like about this is the braid is really loose. And you know, if you've been doing this for a little bit and you've been using different threads, you know, the main thread has got a really nice tight braid to it, so it works really nice. I just snip a little angle on it. I'll show you that in a minute here. So I lay my thread flat side up, and I just cut an angle on it. Hopefully you can see that. Just cut off at an angle, and it helps it go through the eye of the needle a little better. If you can hang on to it anyway. And then I'll pull it through, and I'll grab about 3/4 of an inch to an inch between my fingers. Pull a little there, and I'll just poke right through. Somewhere near the middle of the thread, and then just pull it right over the top. Cinch it down a little bit. I leave a little loop down there, about 1/2 an inch or 3/4 of an inch, something like that. I grab my project and I look at which way the holes are angled. So my holes are angled this way. So what I want to do, well, after I do my binding stitch, so the binding stitch, I'll start where it's double, go to the hole that I made on the single side, and then continue down. Just a little ee-ee. You're not pulling super hard here. And then I'll go through that first hole again. And I'll pull it down into the slot. Remember, my holes are angled this way. So I'm pulling down into that angle. This thread comes in under this one. And goes through right above it. I'll get another hole here and show you again. Let's see. So go in. And pull it down. I'm just going to take my little finger and hold it there. Maybe. The fingers aren't cooperating with me today. Then the other thread comes in under the one that I just pulled through. And when it goes in here, it goes in above it. Hopefully you can see that. If you want to see a stitching video, I'm happy to do one. Just leave a comment below. And that is all there is to it. If your stitches go the other way, when I do the other side here, I'll be pulling up and then my thread will go over the thread. And this is basically, you see the people that do the crossed needles, they cross their needles and then they cast a stitch over the needle. I can't seem to get that to work right with my fingers the way they are. This works much better. So I just kind of keep going. And what that does, as you can see, there's a little bit of an angle there. The bigger the thread, the smaller the hole, you get less of an angle. And same on the back. And that's with the method that I use is pretty much just doing exactly the same thing. I'm just not crossing needles. Now the other thing this does for me is when I put the second needle through, if I should happen to pierce my thread, it's not going to cause a problem. Whereas if you're crossing your needles and you pierce your thread, you've got a problem because you can't pull it down anymore. So this works out really well, at least for me. I go much faster if I'm in a stitching pony. Mostly because I just hang on to my threads. But I've done some pretty long stitch lines with just this method without a stitching pony, because some projects this project is a big holster for an Astra 900, and I'm trying to copy a vintage holster, but that's pretty long stitch line to go all the way along here and get it all to look as nice as it does. So it's just a matter of practice. Find a method that works well for you. That's why I recommend watching more stitching videos and just seeing how other people do it. Chuck Dorset at Weaver Leathercraft, Weaver Leather Supply, whatever they go by now. He does it different yet. He makes an X. And, I tried that too. It is a little hard on needles, but it works. It's fast. Quarter leather, he does it a little different too. But his method isn't much different than what I'm doing. Now I'm going back through. I want to pull this thread up to the top, because now pulling up to the top of the hole, going back the other direction. I'm just going to backstitch that one hole. That's really all I need. Clip it off. Fairly short. I probably got a 1/16 of an inch of thread sticking up there. Melt my ends. And I try to use the blue part of my flame right closest down here on the lighter, because it doesn't singe the thread, sear it, so you can hardly see it there. I'm going to keep going here, get the rest of these stitched up, and I'll be back to get snaps installed. Alrighty, so I'm ready to put some snaps in here. I'm just going to use my rotary punch. Partly because the anvil is there and I can just slide it in, punch my hole. So I'm going to need to figure out where my hole goes. Got my little marking pen here. I'm just going to fold it over, fold the flap over, and make a mark. Pretty doggone simple if you ask me. Then I have a hole, and this is my spring snap kit. I just bought this on Amazon. It's nothing too fancy. You need to keep your pieces straight though. So we have a piece that's going to go here, and it has a stud on the inside, and that needs to fit through the hole. Just like that. And the stud will go on. This is an anvil, and I just want to set that in there so that when I set this, I've got something solid under it. This is the tool. It's got a hole in the end of it to fit over that part of the snap. Give it a smack. She's set. Not going to go anywhere. The other one gets the button side, goes to the outside. Again, I'm going to set it right on my anvil there. And then this is the snap part. And I don't know how well you'll see, there's a spring in there that grabs onto this piece. So we'll hold that in there. This is the piece, the tool that sets that. It's kind of a domed piece with a flat on it, a little flat on the edge. And I'll set that right in the center of that stud. And I'm going to hold everything together. And I like to get a little start. Because what it does is it rolls over. It takes this piece, the stud part sticking out, and it rolls it over onto the snap. It's probably really hard to see in there. I need to set that just a little bit better. And there you go. These are some pretty simple snaps to set. They work real well. They're not super, I mean, they're tight enough to hold everything together, but they're not like, you don't have to be a gorilla to take the thing apart. A line 20 or a line 24, a line 24 can be kind of tough sometimes. And we got to remember that these are going to 4th graders, so they're just kids. So I don't want them too hard to do. But there's one. I'll show you another one here. Just folded it over, made a mark. Go in here. I think my tube is plugged. I use my oh yeah, that thing. I use my rotary punch quite a bit. Push that through. The anvil goes right under it. That piece goes up there. And we grab the piece with the hole in the end and set it. That's all it takes. Once you're used to doing these, they actually go pretty quick. There we go. Another one set is done. So these are really a simple project, especially having a die to cut them out. Makes it so fast and so easy that you can make a bunch of these all at once. I should probably just make some, you know, I've got to hit a couple of craft shows this year, so be something that would probably be something I could sell pretty cheap, make a couple bucks. I know kids like to have something to put their little treasures in. This is a nice little one to put treasures in. Business cards don't fit in it, unfortunately, nor do credit cards. So there you go, folks. Pretty quick, pretty easy. The die, like I said, it was pretty cheap on Amazon. I don't remember what it was, what it cost. And I just pulled the parts out that make the stitch holes, and I make my own. They're pretty quick and easy to make, especially with that, with that die. Snaps are easy to put in. The stitching is really simple. It's good practice, even if you've got a lot of experience, you know, and you've been doing this for, 15 years or whatever it's been. It's good practice just to stay on hand stitching. So I've got 6 of these completed, which just leaves me a few more to get done. I think that's 8 left to do then. Just stitching them. That's all I got to do is stitch them, and they're done. So when you can assembly line something like this, it goes pretty quick. I'll try to leave links down below I'll leave links for all the tools that I used. Hopefully I'll be able to find that die again, and I'll leave a link for that down there too. And go ahead and make your own. This is I could almost call this a beginner video to go with the beginner video series, but it's not really one of my patterns, so I can't really link a pattern. That's alright. There's 6 of them. Go give those to my lovely wife now, and go eat some dinner. You all stay safe. God bless. Any questions, comments, concerns? Drop me in the comment section below. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And subscribe if you're not already. We'll catch you in the next video.